Coming at you from a couple of stools in the low class studios. This is a feminist and a comedian walk into a bar. What's up, guys? I'm your host this week, Jackie Manti. I'm a feminist, and today I'm sipping on Diet Coke's new rebrand for millennials.
Millennial Diet Coke.
Millennial Diet Coke.
What flavor you got?
Okay, so I'm trying. Yeah, they have like four or five new flavors, like ginger lime and blood orange. Basically, I'm trying feisty cherry. I'm not sure what's feisty about it, other than using the word feisty.
It's feisty cherry.
But it's
Well, do you
good.
remember? Do you remember when we were younger? Wild cherry was the
Oh,
flavor.
so maybe they're using a new
Well, because kids aren't wild anymore.
adjective.
That's the opiate crisis. That's being a
Now,
wild kid. You want to be feisty.
now you're feisty.
I
Oh,
do you
that's funny.
because I guarantee that's what happened, right? We got wild when we were kids because it's what do kids want now?
I want to be
What
wild.
do these kids like? If you're selling Pepsi that's flavored like cherry to a kid at a rave with glow sticks and house music, what word's gonna resonate with him? Wild, like a wild child. Exactly. We are gonna be millionaires, right?
And they were. They became millionaires.
Yeah, but just because of their Pepsi, like that's I think why marketing sometimes gets like too much of like a pat on the back.
Why?
Because what it's already cherry Pepsi. You're already Pepsi. Like you've already done the grunt work of being like the only other brand besides Coke in every store, in every restaurant, everywhere. I don't know. I guess like a wild cherry can still fail, but it's like I don't know. It's like cherry. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, and that's why I think about feisty. I mean, what word do you think marketing people brought up at every meeting and then said think of synonyms to that, and that's how we got feisty? What word? I guarantee you there is one word. I can think of it right now.
Angry,
No,
outraged cherry,
no.
pop my.
But I mean, you're in the same thing.
What?
I think it's resist. That's resist cherry.
Oh.
That's feisty cherry.
Well, speaking of, so
When a politician
have
gets in your
a-
way, get feisty with Diet Coke.
I know it's their rebranding of like we don't want to be the Trump pop.
Yeah.
But speaking of their marketing, they have an ad out that's catching a lot of heat because it's so bland, starring whatever,
Gil-
the girl
I
from
think it's
Community.
just Jillian Michaels, right?
Gillian
But it's with a
Anderson?
G.
And fuck, not Anderson, Michaels.
Yeah, that's X Files, right?
Yeah, that's Scully. But it's like the most boring commercial because she's basically saying like, "Oh, we don't just do you do you, and then drink Diet Coke, but only if you want to, you know." And I was like, "Oh, it's so bad, but it's kind of perfect for millennials because I don't know, I feel like that ad is so representative of a time where like you can't say anything because you're gonna piss somebody off. You can't. It's all about what you want to do, but dear God, do not say anything." Wrong. And I think it's also like a very clear reaction to the Pepsi
Oh, the
debacle
Kylie
with
Jenner
the
thing.
Kylie Jenner. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone wants just. I mean, adults don't really drink pop. You know what I mean? And if you're an adult drinking
Yeah,
pop,
they do.
you're gonna be dead in 5 years of diabetes. So,
I mean,
like,
that's not true.
I mean,
Um,
pop is operating under cigarette logic, pretty much. You know what I mean?
well, this
Like, catch them
Diet
in high
Coke
school, they'll be faithful
will keep you
till they die in their
thin.
50s.
Can't you tell by the new
I
shape of the
know.
can?
Well, they're clearly losing market
I'm
share
gonna be
to
skinny.
LaCroix,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's why we need flavors, we need a skinny can,
And I
and we
will
need a
say
hip
though,
celebrity.
this feisty cherry is pretty good.
Does it taste like cherry Coke? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Has that weird after Diet Cokey
It's so
aftertaste.
gross.
I know, I'm not a Diet Coke fan.
I think you gotta grow up on it and then just like
No,
really
no,
adapt.
because I grew up on it. It's my mom drank it like
Right.
5 a day.
Well, I'm not saying like.
and I don't like it.
Well, I'm not saying
'Cause
that
I feel like I've had too much
everyone
of
that
it.
has it young likes it. I'm just saying I think that's the only way you can like it. Like we didn't really ever have like pop in the house anyways, but we never had diet pop. And so, yeah, I just think like it tastes like so chemically.
Yeah,
Like
it
it
really
just tastes
does.
so phony. Any artificial sweetener, I'm just like this tastes like so gross. I'm like, how do
I
you
feel like
consider
you're
this?
not like that with your food though. Like you'll eat gross like chemically food.
But not
No
like
problem.
it's not the sweetener.
That's a
Though.
sweetener.
It doesn't.
You just don't like the
Yeah, I
like you
guess
don't like
I'll
sweet
eat.
and low or fake.
No, it always tastes awful.
Mm.
I just do not know how people think it's sweet. I'm like, it doesn't even taste sweet. It tastes like a new flavor. That's essentially just like fucking. It tastes like swimming pool chlorine more than it does sugar. You know what I mean? I don't know.
uh,
That's one of those things. Like, I just never really believe in diet stuff because it always tastes gross.
yeah.
So I'm like, just give me the thing, or if you're like that thing is awful for you, I'm like, okay, well I just won't have it that much.
No, that's true
Slash deal
because
with the
like
consequences.
if I get something low fat, it's usually probably worse for me overall, right?
Yeah.
But it just has less calories or but like I don't know, that seems like Jackie science also, but moreover, I'm going to end up eating more of that low fat thing cuz I
Yes.
don't feel like completely satiated where like I just would rather have the full on cottage cheese
It's
and
I
eat
mean food
less of it, you know.
I mean food that is not food. I mean, you know, pop, chips, fucking cookies. It's not food. Like it doesn't really have nutritional value except for like calories that'll
You're like
keep you
wasting it.
alive, but
Yeah.
it's like so my point is like again like if they gave you you know like to diet coke that it's literally as ridiculous as like low addictive opiates. You know what I mean? Like it's like not as addictive as
It's
regular
sort of
opiates.
like
It's like, dude,
American Spirit cigarettes. They still advertise in
yeah,
magazines and they're
well,
like natural on the package, but like
yeah,
then they still
or
have this the exact same. They even actually have a warning that says, "Hey, these aren't like less harmful than
well,
regular cigarettes."
I mean, it started. I mean, Marlboro Light. I mean, they used to be called Marlboro Light. They're not allowed to use that terminology anymore. Now it's Marlboro Gold, Marlboro Silver, and that's why people get Camel
No,
Blues.
they're still like Parliament lights.
I don't think so.
My smoke of choice.
But does it say lights on the
Actually, you
package?
know what?
It
They
probably
do.
doesn't.
They you know what? They do say the shorts because they don't know
Yeah,
that it's.
that's why Camel Blues. Those are
That's funny.
those used to be Camel Lights. Now they're just called Camel Blues because they're in a blue package. But
Mm-hmm.
it's because they're not allowed to use that term anymore. Because it's how ridiculous it is. It's like it's a light cigarette.
Okay. Well, with me, as always,
Hey,
Justin Golak,
what's
a
up?
comedian. What are you
Hey.
drinking?
Oh, dude, I'm sipping on one of my favorite cheap beers. It's hard to find outside of where it is made.
Where
Um,
is it made?
Texas.
Oh,
Texas, you can find it anywhere. It's like the PBR in Texas. Like they don't really have. Yeah, well, now at most bars I've been to in Texas because like, you know,
enough people
PBR has
travel.
become like a hipster thing, so they'll have PBR, but they have this too. So I'll always get this. It's usually the exact same price or maybe even cheaper. So I'm like, why don't you drink PBR? I love this beer, and even in Chicago, if you go over to a Benny's, which there are a lot around town, so it's not hard to find one. Which is like a liquor store. If you're not from the Chicago area, they always have sixers of this. It's like $7 for a sixer. It's just a nice, cheap beer, but I think it's delicious. I think it's you know why I like it? Because I feel like beers like PBR and I don't know, a lot of those other ones, like they're fucking heavy, man. Like they feel like just thick and heavy. But I agree that like, you know, when people think about like a Miller Lite, they're like too light, tastes all watery, right? I think beers like I like that's why I like High Life. I feel like it drinks like a light beer, tastes like a full flavored beer. And I think this beer, as far as like the cheap beer category,
Mm-hmm.
hits those marks.
What is this beer?
I got a Lone Star beer, baby.
Lone Star.
Lone Star.
It's got a cool bottle
Yeah.
design.
Yeah. It just looks like a classic beer. And
Yeah.
that's what it drinks like.
Well, it's interesting that you are because I've never had it. The way you're describing it, I didn't think that. It looked more. It kind of looked like a craft beer from the design of the thing, and because it's kind of obscure up here. That
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
fancy
It's
boy.
like, you know, you buy a sixer of it, it's like a buck of beer and it's
Nice.
tasty and yeah, I mean, I don't really give a shit at this point in my life. I don't think about certain things I ever did like this, but it is kind of like, you know, like we went to I bought two sixers, one for the podcast, and then we went to a Super Bowl party, and so I brought like a sixer of it there. I don't know. It's like it's always kind of fun to show up with something different. You
Yeah.
know, people can I have one? Yeah, yeah, take one, man. You know, just liven it up, but without spending like $18 for something. Then you bring fucking some fucking IPA. Now you're out $18, and everyone at the party is out by 9 because they just drank a loaf of bread to catch a small buzz. So, but what I like about these, so the reason also that I wanted to get a Lone Star, mostly for everything I said, but one other reason is because So I've been a little off cocktails because Sundays and Mondays, which are we usually record on Sundays, but even if we happen to record on a Monday like we are with this one, both those in my schedule are sauna days. So I'm not going to be able to escape recording on a sauna day.
Is Justin there? No, he's having a sauna. He's busy.
I'm sauning right
I'm
now.
sorry.
So
Call back another
today is a
time.
sauna day, and so I've been drinking these beers. Like I don't want to take in anything like too heavy or I gotta get some liquid with my booze. So I've been drinking like a good quality light beer, um, and uh, but I didn't want to deprive the listener of something cool. Like you always have some weird smoothie or something with lavender in it that you took time to make. So I was like, what can I do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll drink Lone Stars while I'm on the sauna kick, which might be for a while. And hopefully it'll be forever. I'm gonna be a low inflammation, healthy sauna boy, and I'll be doing this podcast eventually because I'm gonna outlive Jackie.
I'll die off from my Diet Coke.
I'm gonna outlive Jackie because I'm getting that inflammation down, being a healthy sauna boy, getting those heat shock proteins flowing. I get all my medical advice from the Joe Rogan podcast. So, anyways, but the thing that was always cool about Lone Star, there was a bar in Ohio before I moved here that had Lone Stars, and the cool thing about them is you pop the cap off of them, and on the under of the cap, they have a little like pictogram, right? Just
Where you like add the pictures together.
Yeah,
and
to
it
says
something.
So what I thought I would do is go ahead and on Mondays at some point, probably soon around the time of the podcast post, usually in the morning, but if we record on a Monday, maybe later. But sometime on Monday-ish, I'll snap a pic of whatever cap I was drinking for that week's recording, and I'll post it on Twitter at Justin Golek. And if you can figure out the riddle, throw it in the ats. Throw it in the at mentions, as the kids call it. That's how you use at mentions, right? Is that what that is?
The at mention. Yeah.
I don't know. Just fucking
at me.
I don't. Just reply to the fucking post with the answer. All right. I don't know the terminology. Twitter's fucking stupid.
I don't know. Now they say extra.
All right. Extra.
I'm feeling extra. All right. That's so extra. I'm extra.
I think that sounds totally like you heard that off the local news and you're a parent. Do you guys do the rainbow game? Are you guys using extra?
You guys, let's talk about Tide Pods.
Do you remember when they used to fucking have like local news fucking reports about different
Such fear-mongering.
different abbreviations that kids were using in chat rooms or in instant messaging, so you could like check, you could like kind of like know what they're
be in the know.
Yeah, because you got it. Because like there were some that are like, did you know like PIR stands for parent in the room? If you see that, you should see why they're so concerned that you're there.
Revealing all
the and like
secrets.
I mean like literally it started. It was like LOL, laugh out loud, but it gets more dangerous than that.
Yeah. And here's the weather.
So that's kind of how you sounded. Like they're using extra now.
Extra.
Like
what does it mean?
2 X's, I think. I don't know.
No E.
No E. E's are apparently out as a letter.
Oh, but now I want to know what the riddle is.
Well, let's not.
Oh shit.
Yeah, don't drop that computer.
God. That would have sucked.
Oh, I know what it is.
What?
Well, I'm not gonna say it because people gotta guess it. I'll let you look at it after the podcast so you don't get distracted. This one's not super hard. This is a good first one to start out on just by coincidence because it's not super hard.
Will boost
Some
their
of them,
confidence.
Yeah, some of them are easier than others. This one's not. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's not super hard.
Yeah.
Because it's got like kind of like I don't know. You'll just see. It's not like the hard part sometimes comes from like what the fuck is this a picture of? Or like what? Like maybe they'll have like a horse with a saddle on it or something. And you're like, is this horse or saddle or ride or, or what? Like there's some things it could be.
You had it from the Super Bowl that I was looking at and I couldn't figure out what the first image was until I figured out the rest of the riddle. And then I was like, oh, yeah, duh. Because it was like, I mean, I'll just say what it was.
Okay, what was it?
Okay, it was Custard's Last Stand was what the riddle was, but like I couldn't figure out. It just looked like an ice cream cone with like, like stuff in it.
Right.
But I custard.
Yeah.
So, gosh, I couldn't even tell it was an ice cream cone at first because it's so small. They gotta like.
It's super small, and
they
so
really gotta make the images
So this one, like, is pretty clear, even especially the last one to a pretty substantial agree. It's pretty clear. So that
All
makes
right,
it a little
guys, so you'll
easier,
get an
but
easy one.
it's still fun. So
So
at
check
Justin
that
Golak
out
on Twitter, baby.
at Justin Golak. You can check out all of the past episodes of A Feminist and a Comedian Walk Into a Bar. This is episode 58, so you've got a lot to listen to. You can check those out at FemComPod.com and give us a subscribe or a like or a review on any of your, wherever you're listening to your podcast, and that helps us boost our ratings. And as always, you can check out more of our content and this podcast at lowclass.com. That's lo-class.com.
Whoop whoop. Can we plug the Patreon?
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, for those of you watching the video, take a look at Justin's hat. Try to get the camera on you. See that patch right there? You can get one of those.
That's actually not true because these aren't the patches.
Well, I was going to say, you can get them in black and white. You wouldn't get a colored one. Those are for the owners only.
Yeah. You have to be.
But you could get a black and white one, which are pretty fucking dope too. If you subscribe on our Patreon, I think what's that?
Well, those aren't up. Like that level is not up yet, published yet.
Justin,
What?
this is
I'm
your
just
job.
saying,
Get
people are
on
gonna
those
get.
things.
Well, we're still waiting for the patches in the mail. I did everything right. The patch company messed up the patches, so I'm waiting. I can't make the patch.
Well, this is a tease
level
then,
live.
you guys. Soon.
Well, now people are just gonna wait to subscribe.
I
This was
know.
the most bungly bungle you've ever made. All right. Well, this podcast
This is my
over.
bungly bunghole. lo-patreon.com/lo class no dash in that.
You
one.
can still get just subscribe. Look, dude, subscribe at the dollar level. That's not going to change. It's the lowest level. No matter what we do to the upper levels, you can still get in at the dollar level, and that's going to stay the same. You get all the bonus content, everything at the dollar level. That's not getting a boost. So go ahead and just get in at the dollar level now. And if you're like, ooh, are you guys getting new levels? We are getting new levels soon, probably by the end of the month, but no date on that. But just keep tuning in the podcast, and we'll let you know. But yeah, become a Patreon, man. Patron. I always say Patreon.
I know it's
Become a
confusing because the
patron.
website is Patreon.
Yeah, become a patron on Patreon.
Patreon on Patreon.
It's been one of those long ass intros. Let's get into it, brah.
I like the long intros. And also, this is my episode to host, so
Jesus
do
Christ.
not get bossy. Justin, you guys, I sing him a song and it goes, "I'm Justin," like the "I'm Bossy" song, but with
No
his
one
name.
gives a shit.
They do give a shit because
Topic
they're
one.
also like, "Damn, that guy is bossy." On to topic one.
I think they're thinking clearly
So
that guy
let's-
is the boss of the relationship.
You are not the boss. No, you're
Who's the
not.
boss? Me.
You are not the boss. It's always the people who think they're the boss that are not the boss.
That is not
You
true.
so damnably believe you're the boss. Okay, let's talk. Topic one. All right, so we just had the Super Bowl was yesterday. We stuffed our faces with lots of donuts and meatballs and so much food.
Gluten-free mac and cheese, which was delicious.
Delicious. Well,
You hear that gluten-free tag and you get nervous, but it was delicious.
It's really good. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about Justin Timberlake doing the Super Bowl halftime show. Mostly, though, I mean, we watched the performance. It was fine, right? Like
It was decent.
It was fine.
Could be better.
It could have been better. Yeah. But I wanted to talk about the controversy beforehand that he was asked to do it again, and sort of the rehashing that's brought up of Nipplegate, as they called it, from the 2004 Super Bowl, where the wardrobe malfunction, right?
Yeah.
That happened with Janet Jackson, and there was a big, Twitter was alight with the hashtag Justice for Janet. Hashtag.
Did you watch Nipplegate live? You probably weren't even watching the Super Bowl, were you?
No, I didn't
So
watch
funny.
it.
That was when I was in college. It was so bizarre. One of my buddies, I was watching it.
Yeah, did you watch? You
We
saw
weren't
it?
really paying. I wasn't really paying attention.
Do you remember like oh, that's nipple?
I literally just remember I wasn't watching it. I was like it was on, but I was talking shit with my buddy just because it's this is not even like Justin Timberlake now I fucks with, but this is just out of in sync Justin Timberlake. So he didn't really have anything speaking straight to me.
Oh, they sang "Rock Your Body."
Did they?
Yeah.
At that one?
Yeah, so
I don't know.
He
Maybe.
just hadn't convinced you yet.
Yeah, and
That
I'm in
song was
college.
sort of the intro.
But honestly, to be honest, I am one of those people I can fucks with a Super Bowl halftime show because it's there. I'm not going to change the channel. I'm not going to put on the Puppy Bowl or something dumb like that. I'll just sit and fucking watch it. And I'll try to enjoy it. And some are better than others. But I really am there for the fucking game. Like, I'm just kind of like one of those old school fucking Super Bowl watchers. I'm like, yeah, it's all right, but I'm here for the game. So,
Okay.
just in general, I think I was like, all right, like we'll leave it on, but like, yeah, let's just fucking talk and whatever. And I just remember my back was kind of to the TV. It, uh, and I just, they do the last line like, get you out of your clothes or whatever.
Gonna
Or
have
you
you
be
naked
naked by
by
the
the
end of
end of
this
this
song.
song.
And then like and then because they shot it was like literally the last line, so it was like fireworks, and then like literally I'm like in the middle of talking like my buddy's like, whoa, I think I just saw her nipple, and I was like, shut up. And he's like, no dude, like he ripped her clothes off, and there was definitely like a tit, like there was nothing underneath it. I was like, dude, they would not. It's like the biggest performance, and it's on like national network TV. There's no way they would. That's insane, dude. He's like, I'm telling you. And it was funny because it's like, yeah, like, I mean, I don't think anything, there was internet, like, we had high speed internet in college, but there was no Twitter. You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
news still flowed relatively slow. Like, I feel like I still was like, you're full of shit. And I feel like there wasn't, we Googled it and we couldn't find confirmation that it happened until like I think it was after the Super Bowl. So it was like later that night. But again, just like
Compared to
it
now,
would be
right?
immediate.
Yeah,
There'd
yeah.
be pictures of it on Twitter. Like it would just
Right.
be blown up.
Well, and so the justice for Janet idea was that her career sort of like she lost an acting job from the sort of the all the outrage that came after this happened, right? Like the FCC received like 150 million phone calls about they just people furious that this had happened.
Bunch of idiots.
And so um people were saying it's super unfair that Justin didn't take more of the brunt of that.
Wasn't his nipple.
And then it sort of carried into this conversation of cultural appropriation and has Justin Timberlake
Timberlake.
his career, has he been co-opting black music
Well, yeah,
and
but he's been
dance
doing that
and
way before the nip.
right. I'm just trying to explain what this was,
Yeah.
what this Twitter argument was about. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it. I have some thoughts on it too, but
But is that is any of that like I just think this stuff is fucking ridiculous. Like I just don't I don't is any of that true? Like okay, so let's say I would go as far as to believe she lost that acting role. And I'm sure it's not cuz like you're a dirty woman with your dirty nipple. It was probably just like, dude, we can't fucking this is just too
people
much.
are mad at you. Well,
Or
more
people
people
are just
were more mad at her than him.
but
even
either
though
way,
he
it's more
ripped
just
it
like
off.
people fuck. It's just like this is a fucking nightmare. We kind of just like don't want to deal with this nightmare. Like we just want to promote this movie, make this movie. Like I'm sorry, but we gotta let you go. But then like after that, like I mean, she was kind of like. I mean, again, did she stop making music because of this, or was she just kind of done?
I don't know. The argument is that her career was sort of tanked
Yeah, that's the
after that.
argument, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
She
I don't
wasn't.
know.
She wasn't in the prime of her career. She wasn't on the upswing. It seemed like it was over anyways.
Well, do you know that though? Like, I don't know Janet
you
Jackson's
know it's
career.
not,
Well,
though?
I don't know enough. I personally, Jackie Manty, do not.
Yes.
But I'm saying, like, if people on Twitter are saying this, like, don't you think they know Janet Jackson's career, or you're saying
Has
they probably
she
don't?
said it? If she said it, I would take that as fact. But what do you mean, people on Twitter? What
Fucking people on Twitter,
Like,
Justin.
people-
Just Twitterers. It's a big thing.
But that's the thing. Like, but how? Why does that make it more true?
I don't know. I
It
just
do-
said I don't know if it's true or not.
It's clearly just seems untrue. I mean, she's been in the news since then. She had that old ass baby. She had a baby. She was like 50 or whatever, and that's what I mean. Like, doesn't it just seem more like the narrative if she's just like,
Well, okay, hold on
she's
though.
just like, okay,
so
I'm done.
The post that I made was, or that the link that I shared with you was about how her like family's mad at him about this too. So like,
Okay,
do you think those count more than Twitter people?
but mad at what? Like mad that he did it, or mad that he ruined her career?
Both.
But did he? I mean, again, I don't know if that proves he did. Like, I want to hear it from her, or I'm more like, I mean, if she put out an album, I'm sure it would have done fine, and I don't think anyone would have stopped her. If Janet Jackson says I want to put out an album, I'm pretty sure some record company will be like, yeah, we'll put that out, and I'm sure people would buy it. But it just seemed like, again, like it. You know what I mean? Like if this was like in like 19 fucking 92, and then we never heard from her again, I'd be like, yeah, that seems like weird timing. I just think this is the dumbest thing ever. It just clearly, I just
Okay,
clearly
well,
see no
I
relation
just
to her career ending. I mean, that's why. Oh, like literally, like a 50-year
okay,
old
well,
pop
okay,
star's.
okay. Take away the fact that you're like getting stuck on the career thing. Okay, whatever. Like I do see the argument of not so much the cultural appropriation angle, but the like the fact that she was the one vilified, for this by the general public and the media, and Justin Timberlake never stood up for her. His thing was like, I'm just not going to talk about it.
I
And so
thought
she
he
took the brunt of that.
apologized. I swear he
Yeah,
apologized.
he apologized, but
All
like
right. Well, what else can you
didn't
ask him
say
to?
like this isn't Jan. I don't know. Okay. I don't
But
know.
is it? I mean, it's not. It doesn't seem like it's his fault. I'm not saying it's her fault either. That's what I think the people that called in, the 150 million losers that called in, I mean, they're the problem with this situation and this country in general. Two people. I mean, dude, you literally have to set up a stage, coordinate sound and video effects, coordinate a bunch of either extras or actual audience members, and then you have to do that all in like 15 minutes, right? It's like 5 minutes to get it set up, 15 minutes to perform, 5 minutes to get it set down, and then they need to have a whole second half of a football game right where you had a giant concert. And then fucking like one titty cover falls off. You know what I mean? It's just the sexual version of like a light falling or a stage panel,
Right.
dropping off. And then these
Okay.
150 million fucking, couch locked losers got to be like, no, 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 I just see a
Well, that's why
ball.
that's okay. That's why I think it's so interesting is because that was what 2004,
Yeah.
and you just like you even kind of touched on it, how differently this would be handled nowadays. Like if that happened in 2018, I feel like Twitter would have had Janet Jackson's back a little more. The voices we were hearing were these people who would call in, which were sort of, I don't know, people who did give a shit about that, who were going to be angry. So I feel like this outrage that's happening now and thing like rehashing this sort of old scandal, which shouldn't have even been a scandal in the first place, I think is it kind of helps me understand outrage culture a little better, because I hate outrage culture, and I think it's really upsetting and like not productive. But I feel like this, looking at this story, explains it a little bit. Like I feel like we haven't people who would have, for example, maybe stood up for Jackson, and now have an outlet for it. And there's all this
Yeah,
like
but those people are just as dumb.
there's
There's nothing
all
to
this
stand up
old
for.
rage
But there's nothing to
that
stand up for.
I mean, yes, there is,
But look
Justin.
at the like. Why do we look at one thing? I mean, just here's the problem with outrage culture: is that when it punishes somebody, it acts in no reasonable way to any other form of justice out there. And also, when it fucking addresses things, it also uses like no scientific metric for how to address this thing. So it's like, how am I ever supposed to take any of this seriously? And the fact is that's what they do. They go, well, Janet didn't make music, and Justin made a lot of music. It's clearly because we hate women and we hate titties, and we don't care when men do things. We care when women do things. Yeah, we just again that must be the factor. We ignore the fact that she was like 48 and had put out 10 albums, and he was like 22 and had just
She
put out
was
his first.
38.
But either way, he was 21. Of course, he's gonna put out more albums. He'd only put out one at that time. Like, you don't think that has anything to do with the fact that her career slowed down and his picked up? It wasn't the fact that
Justin, I'm not I'm like, yeah, you're taking like I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's interesting culturally that we are still fascinated by this thing, and like
I'm not fascinated by it at all.
surprised at how everyone reacted in 2004. Like I think that that was a reaction. Like just having hindsight in view now, like I think that like the 2000s were raunchy as fuck. Early 2000s in pop music, it was a bunch of girls trying to outdo each other sexually, right? Like
Good times.
Christina Aguilera's Dirty is like fucking dirty. Like That was
You
what,
could definitely jerk to it.
2002,
You could for
and
sure jerk
like
to that.
yeah, Britney, "Hit Me Baby One More Time" I think launched it. I mean, that was the smells like Teen Spirit of these slutty pop stars,
Yeah.
right? That was what I was in 8th grade, 2000. So anyway, I think that this is such a good example of like, I think culturally, like I read an argument that like explaining Nipplegate as like culturally people were reacting to, we were going to war and they wanted to basically all the MAGA voters in '04 were like, this is not America. We can't stand for this, and like that was easier to comprehend and fight versus like this really tricky subject of going to war and being in a war, right? Which I think is interesting, but I think it was a reaction of like, we've had enough of these slutty pop stars. Turn it off. Like this is too like you showed a boob and on TV. Like you went too far.
So that was their time's up.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why it's dumb, though. I mean, like I said, it's like something that happened forever ago, and no one gives a shit.
No. See, I think it's all really interesting, and I think that it is
But you
still.
already said it. Outrage culture has existed forever. And it existed in the 80s and 90s and maybe bled slightly into the 2000s. And it was Christians and other conservatives. They were outraged and they wanted to hold people's heads to the fire. And then it swung back the other way. And now it's just Twitter liberals. And that's why this is a case study in moronism, because it's literally the same moronic behavior just on different sides of the aisle. So much so that they're doing it over the same issue. Those 150 million people that called the FCC, how weak-willed, weak-spirited, weak-minded, moronic do you have to be to waste your time calling that one thing went wrong in a giant choreographed performance, something that you couldn't even imagine the magnitude of planning, and that's what you want to get upset at. And then culturally we start swinging left. And does that make the country better? No, it switches what the lily pad is for the morons to sit upon and squawk and squawk and squawk. And so now we just have left liberals who they don't have an FCC to call. They have a Twitter to tweet at. It's the same thing. And then 150 million of them go like, this is misogyny and this is rape culture and this is blah, blah, blah. And the same way those Christians just ignore the fact that they could change the channel or turn the game off, the same way these 150 million morons just ignore the fact that it was an old lady after her 10th album, probably on her way out of the game, and it was a 21-year-old kid on the upswing, and of course his career trajectory is going to explode past hers. And if it was the same thing, if it was fucking Lionel Richie's dick coming out when he was on stage with fucking Christina Aguilera, she would have put out more albums than he ended up putting out in the next 20 years. That's just how that would have worked. But it's just so happened we saw a boob from an old lady, not a dick from an old guy. That's the only fucking difference. There's no misogyny. There's no anything. And I'm sorry that we haven't gotten smarter. We've just gotten more liberal. Because you know what? I would rather live in a slightly more left country, but I'd also rather live in a country that's less moronic, and it's clearly not happened.
Yeah, I completely disagree with you, and I think that looking back on something like this is culturally important to our history and to why we are where we are now. I don't think I mean I know there were people who were genuinely upset about just hashtag justice for Janice. You know what I mean? Like they really felt angry about this. But I think it's super interesting. Like why are we here in outrage culture? I think there was no outlet for it before except on those phone calls. I just disagree with you. So
But I'm just saying, what's the justice? That's, again, the moronic part of it. Justice. What's the justice?
just
That he's
saying,
just not allowed to perform on Super Bowls anymore? Or that she has to perform before him? Again, he literally has an out. Like,
mm-hmm.
this is where it's just like, how much. Again, morons. Morons on the right think that everyone cares. Everyone cares about Jesus, and they just can't see the fact that no one gives a shit. In the same way, all these morons on the left think like everything's about sexism and it can't be any other way, and they don't realize that fucking he's one of the biggest pop stars in America right now. He has an album coming out, or it's already out, or whatever. He has singles out. I think the album coming out. I don't, but literally album's about to come out or coming out around Super Bowl time. You don't think it's literally just his agents went like, hey, this guy's got an album coming out. Hey, Mr. Super Bowl guy, could we maybe work out a quid pro quo? We get him on there. That probably boosts your ratings. He could promote his fucking album. the first song he literally does is like the brand new single from his album. You don't think that's coordinated? You think there's anything sexist, or it's just fucking business?
I feel like you are just outrage culture
I just think
in your brain.
I think if she had an album coming out in March of this year and Justin Timberlake didn't,
Justin,
she could have easily
think they
got on the
wanted
halftime show.
I don't think
she
they
could
wanted Janet Jackson to fucking perform.
because she doesn't want to perform.
It was a discussion of, you know, not should he pay, but like, can he at least admit that he has just stolen Michael Jackson's act?
That's a whole different thing. How's that justice for Janet? But he hasn't stolen black music. Music is just black music. Everyone that does music is doing black music.
Do you not think that this is part of that conversation?
Well, then why is it justice for Janet? It should be justice for every black musician. Is that too many characters? Is that why we're not doing it?
Okay. Let's move on.
I mean, literally the Rolling Stones have become cultural icons just playing black blues. And there's no black musicians that will ever make that much money or did ever make that much money.
Mm-hmm.
That's more disgusting to me than like, well, I don't know. See, they're not as mad at him about the titty as they are about the titty hammer for the titty. Justice for Janet. Dude, this goes back to everything I've ever said. This come up on multiple topics. Why? Because if you're a Twitter moron, you don't have the time or the energy or the intelligence to dissect the stealing of black culture in entertainment and how that's reverberated throughout society and continues today. And what can we do about it? And that's, again, not only do you not have the intelligence, you don't have the emotional fortitude to maybe sit back and be like, there might be nothing we can fucking do. We maybe just have to start now and be better people, and everyone that came before us might have to just be fucked. It's maybe just too big to solve. The only thing we can solve is the future, not the fucking past and maybe the fucking present. But they don't, so they just find, they're like, well, I can't cut down the tree, so maybe I can prune a branch. And then they feel better about themselves. But that's all they feel better about themselves because they haven't changed the world. Justice for Janet, what have you changed? That's what everyone wants to do. Let's start a conversation. Fuck conversation. Go get some black blues singer from the 1950s. Get him a fucking $1 million. You know, I don't know. But again, you probably can't. And you're probably sad. And you probably just have to suck it up and realize the only way to make things better sometimes is to make the future a better place. Sometimes you can't reconcile the past of the sin to the people that were sinned against. You can only make sure that no one else has sinned that way again.
Yeah, and making sure no one else has sinned that way again, Justin, is talking about what has happened in the past. I feel like you're angry that people are even talking about this still, but that's...
Because I mean, I am. I don't understand the point. My point is, I'm saying, though, that people that were mad about it are also fucking ridiculous. But again, like... So I don't know. Justice for Janet. What do you want? Like, how is that not justice for Janet? Hey, people on Twitter, if you're listening, yes, anyone that called and complained is a moron. Is that justice? Is that what you want to hear? Because I think that's what anyone that's not that 150 million thinks that way. And there's 300 million people in this country. So half the country thinks those people are morons. Hey, you know what I mean? It's just like literally every other issue in the country. 50% of the people think one way, 50% of the people think the other way, and most of them are fucking morons.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Let's move on to topic 2.
It just seems like the dumbest thing. I mean, and I know it's newsworthy, so I'm not saying you're bad for bringing it up. I'm glad you brought it up, but I think it's just, my opinion on the thing of you bringing it up is that it's dumb. I understand why you brought it up. I think it's a good topic, but I have no other response except what are you mad about? Again, not you, but what are these people mad about? Again, so, okay, if he came out during press days, they always do those big press junkets before the Super Bowl, and he said, you know, I really feel bad that I tore the titty pad off, and she kind of got a lot of shit, and I feel bad about that. You know, I wish it would have never happened. Is he just, he's cool now? That's all they want? Okay, I don't know. I'm asking. I still feel like you haven't told me like what you think they want.
I don't know.
Just a discussion? Well, no one's gonna discuss it because there's nothing to discuss. All right, topic 2. All right, so I think fucking this administration. Do you feel like it's like people have been throwing around like Nunez? Like I'm supposed to know who Nunez is? Like I feel like.
Well, you're supposed to know it because they've been. every media outlet has been talking about his memo for
Right.
months as like I don't know, like teaser trailer to
I
a
know, but
really
do you know
shitty
what I
movie.
mean? It's like, remember when this presidency started? It was like Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, Jeff Sessions. And then maybe you had to know that he had like 3 kids. And then they brought in, who was the son in law? Fucking
Kushner.
Kushner. And then we get like a Mueller, or no, who's the tall guy?
Tillerson.
No, the prosecutor that got fired.
Oh, Flynn.
Flynn, or he was the FBI director. Flynn, but then he got fired. Now we got a Mueller. Now this fucking, it's like this cast has gotten big, like too big. Like we're in like season 4. They're bringing in all these new characters to spice it up, and I can't
I
watch
know.
the
I
program
feel like
anymore.
I'm still discovering Law and Order pairings of
Yeah,
cops. It's like that where I'm
It's
like, oh, who's this now?
yeah. So this
I
fucking
didn't even know they were in this season.
because that's all that politics is. It's just entertainment for people that don't have the fortitude to follow sports. And I just gotta say, this season of the presidency, it's a bad season. So I'm no longer following this show anymore. So yeah, like people are throwing
no
around
good through line.
Nunez, like who Nunez? I don't know. And then there's what's the other one? Steele. The Steele. I've also heard the word dossier way too many times
Yeah,
for my liking.
Michael Steele. Is that his name?
Dossier sounds
But
French.
he's not Republican. That's the whole point. That's
I
what
know,
they're angry about.
and it's the fucking storyline on all this is just as dumb and ridiculous as all these new characters. I'm saying this season, the writing on this season of the presidency show,
I'm interested
it's
in
not
why
enjoyable.
you think this is dumb.
Well, I mean, I'll get into that maybe. I guess I want to take a different slant on the questioning of all this. Like I said, when we take on kind of like these, just big topics, like if you want to know about it, watch the news. But if you want to listen to us talk about it, I'd rather pick like a pinpointed, kind of interesting, kind of I don't know, point of view on these things. But
Yeah.
but excuse me. Oh shit! I swallowed my own spit down the wrong pipe like a real fucking moron. So I
That's justice for Janet.
that's
Justin
justice for
Golak
Janet. What if I
choking on his
died
own
on air of my own
his own
spit?
saliva from talking too much.
Oh, it's because it's spicy. It's spicy fucking phlegm because I spit that fucking hot fire. Just truth.
Ugh.
Truth bomb. I caught a little bit of a wick. That'll fucking happen when you're dropping truth bombs. So, yeah, the dossiers. Heard that word way too many times. Sounds French. I'm not into it. So, anyways, what I wanted to talk about with Nunez is I want to talk about the larger phenomenon of the Trump presidency, which I find really interesting. And that is this. It is Trump becomes president. He is public enemy number 1 of the left. And we live in a democracy that's one candidate away from a dictatorship, and we have for a while. So it's not like you have a bunch of choices. You have A or B, left or right, blue or red. And so we got a red guy in. And I think what's funny about Trump is he's so magnanimously hated that it's become this weird vortex where everything that he is against, or anything that's against him, liberals will like flock to almost in this way that seems.
I don't think that's true. What do you
Dude.
mean in this story? Like, why do you?
Dude, like
what's your example?
everyone
here?
was talking. Dude, liberals were talking how George W. Bush not that bad of a president.
I think that was a joke.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
I saw that
a lot as a joke.
I saw that a
even
lot.
This guy looks good.
But he shouldn't. That's not even
Well, that's the
joke.
joke is that he shouldn't.
I've heard it brought up with very fair, like reasonable kind of
Ew, really?
language. Exactly, fucking ew. Everything, every fucking thing. And to me, there's a lot of little things. I think George W. Bush is one of the big ones that people isn't that bad. At least because like people, I've heard. All right, here's like a better way to put it. I've heard liberals say things of like, well, at least he's not like saying things like, at least he's not on Twitter. At least we knew we had someone with some political experience in there. He's a fucking war criminal.
That's
you
why
fucking morons.
I know. That's why that SNL bit that Will Ferrell just did
So
was so
funny,
good.
so fucking funny.
He's
And
he's like reminder, I wasn't good.
Also, his Bush is perfect. It is right from we've talked about this before too, like right from that school of impressions that I love, where it's like it's your take on the character. I don't find the exact
Yeah.
mimicking of someone
Impressive.
funny. It's impressive, I guess, as a skill, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
That's why, to me, the best impressionist that they have on cast now is what's her face?
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
her Hillary Clinton's great. Like
Because
Amy
she does like the
Poehler's was
crazy eyes.
also solidly decent too, because she did a similar thing. But Kate McKinnon's is like top
Yeah,
notch.
Amy Poehler's was good because she had that like desperation that
Yeah,
Hillary Clinton can get, you
like
know?
she amplified traits and then
Totally.
also like added
And that
her
was
own.
funny, but like yeah, Kate McKinnon's got like those crazy eyes and like every character she does, it's just it's only Kate McKinnon could do it that way.
Well, I think it's what you should do in an impression for comedy's sake is like we only kind of see this person, any celebrity, like a little bit. So we
Mhm.
get kind of his mannerisms, and that's kind of what you're giving us to signal to us who you're doing an impression of.
Yeah.
But then you need to like think, like, what? How would this person react? Like, again, if we're showing Hillary Clinton at fucking the beach or at a bar, like there's that one where she was like at a bar, like, and that Kate McKinnon was playing her. Like, we've never seen Hillary Clinton at a bar, so you have to like, how would she kind of be in a bar? You know, and I feel like a lot of like good impressionists, but not my favorite ones, like will just literally be like, I am at a bar and here's my perfect mimicking of the voice of this person at a bar. And I like that, like, I don't know, it just feels like she gives her like to me, you're creating when you're doing a good impression for comedy, you're creating a separate character that's basically like, this is my character called like politician who's like Hillary Clinton. And I think that's what like Farrell did. He's like, this is my character that is president like George W. Bush or something. Like, you know, you're kind of creating your own fucking world with this guy.
Mhm.
So funny. Do you not want to talk about this anymore?
No.
Oh, okay.
Who's your favorite impression ever?
Oh man. Might be fucking Will Ferrell's George W. Bush.
Oh, I know you love Will Ferrell's Janet Reno.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But I don't know if it's as funny. That's
You
a
know who
funny
I
one
love?
too.
I love Kate McKinnon's Jeff Sessions right now.
That's a good one too. I mean,
With
she's
the
the
tail
best.
and
She's
like
the
her
best
little
one.
like evil giggle.
That's why I don't
So
like
good.
Alec Baldwin's Trump. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like him, but it's nothing. He's literally just
Yeah.
reading Trump stuff in solidly accurate impression, but I don't know. I don't think it's funny.
Right.
It's okay. It's decent. It's a good impression in terms of mimicry.
But yeah, no, I don't like look forward to
But
him
yeah,
being
every time
Trump.
she
But like
does
anytime if
sessions-
she comes, really, if Kate McKinnon is ever in a scene, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is amazing because she's so good. But yeah, no, anytime Sessions comes on too, I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna.
Fucking
it's
Phil
gonna be so
Hartman did a
funny.
really good Clinton too.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was my fave, but that was a pretty good one. Yeah, Will Ferrell's Janet Reno was solid. Janet Reno was dance
Well,
party.
no, we dance.
No, we dance. All right, stop. So, anyways, I kind of wanted to talk about this. Like, I feel like now that Trump has kind of been going head to head with the FBI, right? Like, that's kind of been his new enemy, right? The FBI.
I mean, no.
What?
His enemy's the Democrats. That's what he's trying to. His enemy is not the FBI. He would use the FBI and all of those illegal tactics if they worked in his favor. He's trying to. He
But
released
that's what
this
I'm
memo
talking about.
as a political move. Like
right,
this is
but
about the
against
Democrats.
FBI. But I'm saying, what do these Democrats say when he does these things? They pretty much say like, "Oh, these are these are federal officers, and how dare you besmirch them? And you're trying to
No, I don't. I feel like what I heard was, and what I agree with is that it doesn't give the whole picture, and so it's easy to spin it because a lot of it had to be classified. I mean, that memo is only like 3.5 pages long for
Right.
a process that took a year and a half. You
don't
know what I
think
mean?
that you don't think Democrats have been coming out in support of the FBI?
No. I think that they are coming so the House committee just today voted that the Democrats could release a rebuttal to this memo, like line by line, which I know sounds on the surface sounds like political theater bullshit, but like I think it's fair that they would say like, well, here's why. Okay, yes, okay. Well, how do I say it? Basically, Donald Trump now has to approve releasing that memo to the public, but I think that most, or I think liberals, progressives, we should agree that like there's something wrong about the fact that this FISA court was not told that the Steele dossier was funded by the DNC. You know what I mean? Like through a line of people, but the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign was paid for this to you know what I mean, to dig up dirt. But okay, yes, fair. But like what I feel like the rebuttal will probably say, and that is again bigger picture, is that that was only some of the information used to what I mean surveil Carter. Wait, right? Carter Page, and like, and that I don't know. I think it makes a case to continue this Russian investigation because they had to get that renewed several times, and to do that, you know, there are processes here. Like they had to prove that they were getting really important information that was a threat to national security through this surveillance of Carter Page, and that's what they needed to get it renewed, and it was getting renewed. So like it's sort of, there's just so much we don't know. I think that's why a lot I'm mad at this release. I mean I'm all for the transparency of it. Hell yeah. And I think that
But that's different. All right, like so I was just doing a quick search here and I couldn't find literally, and I don't mean it's not there. It's like in this, couple seconds I couldn't find an exact like
did you Google
quote from a
who is
politician.
Nunez?
No, I just here right here this quote, it says indeed support, and this is voters or the public I guess you would say. Indeed, support among rank and file Democrats for the FBI and CIA has grown since the transition from Obama to Trump. A Gallup poll released last month showed 69% of them thought the FBI was doing quote good or quote excellent in job in 2017, a 9-point jump from 2014. Approval of the CIA, which took a rhetorical battering from Trump over its finding that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to benefit the Republican, jumped 10 points to 60%.
So you think it's just, this is just another dangerous area that liberals are
I
just
think
now
this is
defending. It's just always a reaction against Trump.
this
You
is what's
mean?
dangerous about two-party politics,
Okay.
and I just again it's one of those things where it's like it's one of those things about like I'm not trying to quote unquote slam them or something. It's like again like this is
Justin Golak roast Democrats in episode 58 of
fuck
FemComPod.
barbaric takedown of Dems by Podmaster. No, I fucking it's more of this thing of like just I don't know, baby bathwater and rhetoric over rights and all this fucking dumb shit. And it's just like I don't know. To me, when I think FBI and CIA, I think of a fucking organization that harassed and bugged famous Dodge truck salesman Martin Luther King. And I think of people that listed the NWA as a gang and monitored their activity. I think the FBI are.
So are you not supportive of the FBI, or just think
No,
like
why? I
I'm
mean, it's
asking
law enforcement.
why not?
I mean, it's the they leave it up to the local fucking cronies to do the grunt work. I mean, the law enforcement is just the mafia, right? And fucking, the leader of the family is not going to be getting his hands dirty at a rapid rate. And that's why you leave it to the local officers to shoot all the black people in the poor neighborhoods because they're the low-level thugs trying to raise up the ranks. And then if you're in the FBI, that's what you're doing. You're spying on, political activists and people that are organizing. And if you're in the CIA, you're letting them do that by collecting information illegally. And that's what these administrations have been doing, I mean, forever. But I mean, George W. Bush started it. Obama continued it, and now they're
collecting information illegally. Is that
yeah.
what you just
Well, I
said?
mean, it's more the NSA, but it's the NSA and the CIA. I mean, all that stuff, all the Snowden stuff, all the Chelsea Manning stuff. I mean, Chelsea Manning, that was more about the military, but again, like
Right.
that's still executive branch. So, I guess, and again, Snowden was NSA, but again, like these agencies all share information, and they're just again, that's what this. I just don't understand. To me, I don't understand any liberal support for the FBI. I just don't understand
Well,
it.
they're the ones digging into this Trump investigation. That's where that's coming from. They
Okay.
want to support that, especially because it does feel like Donald Trump is threatening to end that investigation and finding as many ways as possible to get out of it, right? And in fact, this releasing this memo is sort of That's what they're talking about now. Is like, was this a move to try to get, not Mueller, who's the other, Rosenstein off,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
that
that's
they
a
can
new
get,
character.
yeah, well, like, can they get Rosenstein off and then have someone more amenable to the White House in that investigation, or just cancel the investigation altogether? So I think that's where it's like it's sort of like how you're more supportive of the press because he's taking them down, and it's not. I don't think it comes from like a just a reactionary point of view. There's also things
But
they're trying to support in it.
but if you, to me, this is the this is why.
I just am cautious of. I totally agree with you, Justin. I just like
Good.
I'm
That's all
cautious
I
of
want to hear.
the contrarian. I feel like part of that is contrarian to be like, oh, well, you guys are just now you're just picking whatever he doesn't pick. I don't think that's the full story, especially with this memo. I think there's a
But it
lot of
is
this
because
memo's so complicated, and in fact, I think what Trump has done and does really well is really convolute how complicated it is and make it about a one-liner sort of pitch, and now everyone who believes in him is like, oh, well, this is like Watergate level scandal. And it's not, but it is something
it's
we should
not.
talk about. And like, if, that is important. If, how did they not know that who the Steele dossier was
But
from?
here is
And
why that's. But you can say, well, blah 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 blah. But my point is like, excuse me. My point is, man, this Lone Star makes me real
I
burpy.
know
It's
my
gonna be
Diet Coke's making me burpy. I keep like,
this is the grossest
I know,
podcast
it's so
ever.
gross.
Oh,
I have to pee again, too.
we just ate black bean chili too. Could get real gassy on both ends. Real dangerous
Good thing
podcast.
it's not smell-o-vision.
So I don't know. I just wish someone had the stones to say both. I just wished that this grandstanding and then just again,
Well,
but they're
someone
politicians.
just did. Paul Ryan just said that
And
he
again,
thinks that Democrats should be allowed to have that rebuttal, and which the House committee voted for, but that Donald Trump should say, okay, here's the Democrat response to it, so that they're
yeah, but
and he's saying
that's
so
not
there's
what
more
I'm.
transparency.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
just saying like, if you want specifically the specific investigation against Donald Trump related to Russian meddling in the election and collusion, if you want that investigated, say we want that investigated, we want it investigated fairly. But again, this grandstanding about him going, that's like the narrative is that Trump is attacking law enforcement in this country and he's trying to disrupt it at its knees. So the rule of law will be out the window. And it's like, the rule of law went out the window when they started fucking collecting your phone data. Where's the rule of law there? It's just funny that they talk about fucking not going through FISA courts or whatever to get these wiretaps approved or whatever, or that they did or
They
whatever.
did.
There's no acknowledgement from the left that FISA courts are the most illegal thing ever concocted to just fucking push bogus, awful policies and fucking wiretapping and torture and all
So
this
you
bullshit.
you think surveillance in general is like,
But that's my
not.
point. Now we're just talking about whether someone went through the FISA courts or didn't go through the FISA courts without even acknowledging that the FISA courts are the biggest affront to Fourth Amendment rights in the history of this country. No one talks about that. No one. And I know we're talking about this, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, but we are talking about, okay, he's not going down for this. You're not impeaching him. And even if you did, you have some fucking psycho fucking Indiana governor as your backup. Drop this thing.
No,
I'm just saying.
No, I don't.
It just makes me mad.
Justin, it's not just.
They're gonna.
Just Trump's
They're never
role
gonna
in
win
this.
a fucking election again, and it makes me so happy. I want
What this investigation
Democratic
is about,
Party is
Justin,
awful. They're
I don't even think
awful.
it's so much about collusion as it is about the. This word sounds so dumb, but meddling. Like, I want to know. Completely disagree with you. We should continue investigating, not to impeach Trump. I don't. That is not my main concern. My main concern is how did Russia interact in this campaign, and what on both sides? Like, who knows what they'll pull up? Like, who were they talking to? How is our politics run? Like, put this up there
But
with
they don't
gerrymandering.
care.
Like, how do we
But they
fix
don't
this?
give a shit. They don't fucking care.
Who
They just
doesn't?
want to get the guy from the other team out of office. They want to disrupt the other team's policy. It's just team, 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 and they don't give a fuck about America. None of these motherfuckers give a fuck about America. They never have for 1 second in their goddamn fucking career, and I'm so sick of the grandstanding like they are. Because my point is, I don't give a fuck about Russia. I don't give a fuck about Facebook pages. I don't give a fuck about any of this. You lost that election by a cunt hair level of votes, and you would have taken it in a landslide because people like me would have rushed out to the polls. But all you would have to do is have the fucking stones to stand up on a goddamn podium at a debate, at a fucking rally, and say, hey, you know what I'm going to do if I'm president? I'm going to go in and make sure these FISA courts don't handle all the warrant issuing for all these federal agencies because it's a blasphemous affront to your Fourth Amendment rights. People like me would have came out in droves and voted for that Democratic candidate, and then you wouldn't have to worry. Russia could have meddled all they want, and they still would have fucking lost. And that's what they don't want to realize, that it's not Russian meddling, it's not Facebook page, it's they're running inferior campaigns year after year, and they're gonna crash and fucking burn. And to all the only new voters you're getting aren't there. You're only retaining the same losing number of voters by investigating this, because people that really care about real shit like me don't give a fuck about Russia, because they realize there's way bigger one fucking moron winning an election where we only have two choices because someone from another country posted some fucking Facebook pages. How about how is no candidate besides the one that fucking got screwed out of his chance to be president, Bernie Sanders? How is no one no one cares. No one cares. The Koch brothers, they can give all the money they want. They get talks about a little bit. All these other candidates, they get fucking money. Financial institutions that take down our economy, places that poison our food, drug companies that poison our citizenry and create drug epidemics. They're allowed to give candidates all the money they want. And you know that their policy is affected by that money. But because they live in the United States, no one really gives a shit. No one runs on a campaign to get rid of it. No one really cares. And these companies have enough money now in the 2000s, they don't even have to pick a side. They give money to both sides and then just ask for a hand job from whatever side wins. They don't give a shit. But as soon as some other because it's another country, and they don't even give money, they just make a couple thousand Facebook pages, that's the enemy. And that's my point. Fuck it. They interfered. Now he's the president. We only have him for 3 more years. You got an election this coming year, and you got one in 2. And if you got out and actually ran candidates that said, I'm not taking a single fucking dollar from a major corporation. I'm fucking killing the FISA courts. I'm fucking stopping cops from going out there and murdering American citizens. You would win every fucking election. But they don't give a shit, because they don't give a shit really about winning. They give a shit about money. The only thing they really give a fuck about winning is that they can make more money. They give a fuck about themselves and their second home and their third beach home and their private jet. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. And that's why they'll defend the FBI. They'll go against the FBI. They don't give a shit. They just want to get this guy in office so they can get their guy in office so they can make the better deal with Goldman Sachs so they can buy another fucking ring for their fucking dumb wife. They don't give a shit.
Do you think you're on a watch list somewhere?
Probably.
Yeah.
That means you are too.
Oh,
Marriage is a
I'm
beautiful
sure.
thing. I mean, do I sound crazy?
No, you don't sound crazy, Justin. But what I don't like about your rants sometimes is it feels so negative. Like, and that's fair because you have a reason to be negative. But I also I don't think all of that's true. I don't think that none of them care about America. I just don't. I can't agree with you on that. And I still have hope that we can make this better.
I'm not saying that there's people out there. I'm not saying there's not people out there that would like to make this country a better place. I'm saying they get primaried by the fucking droves, by their own party, to put up fucking Wall Street Democrats, and then they face off against Jesus Republicans, and then about 85% of the country is left being like, I don't really have a fucking choice. So they either pick a team and then rah, rah, rah for that team, wear the jersey, go to the games, put the face paint on, or they do like me and they go, fuck the process, I'm going to start a podcast. And that's where I'm at. I mean, I've never seen at this point in history. I've never seen a bigger exercise in masturbation than fucking the democratic voting process. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not real, and that's not cynical. That's just true. And I'm literally saying all you'd have to do is run a
No, I
candidate
don't
that
think
talked
that's
to real
I don't
problems.
think that's I'm not saying you're cynical, Justin. Like I don't disagree with you. Like I think I mean gerrymandering is like a scourge on this country's democratic process.
Yeah.
Like I agree with you, but I also am not I just can't get into the pits like that with
But
you.
every time you watch any documentary about gerrymandering, we just watched one. What do they always say? They say it switches the party in control. Really, the only thing the Republicans done that was evil is they purposely funneled money into state campaigns, which was something that was never really thought to do before, so they could get control of the redistricting process. That was their evil genius plan, and
That's
that's
why
why
they won the presidential election.
yes, so that's why they're scumbags. But every expert, every bipartisan, no affiliation expert says that every party who had the power at the time did the same thing going back to the beginning of time. So that's the point. And that's why no politician really comes out against gerrymandering super hard. Democrats in states where they're losing will come out and say something, but they're not going to really get rid of it. They're going to try to fix it so they can win this time, and then they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck.
I know, but okay, so sure. Let's say they don't give a fuck. There are the people still have power. I mean, even that documentary you're referencing, the League of Women Voters sued and got I don't remember what exactly they got, but you know, they fucking fought the system that was gerrymandering their community and made it a little more fair.
And now they're all on a watch list being spied on by these same federal agencies that the Democrats want to just suck cocks on all fucking day. And
I
that's your
mean,
power as
how
a
weird
fucking
are you
citizen.
about getting watched? Like, what do you
I don't
feel?
fucking care. Look, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm already 33. If I die at 73, I got 40 years left. If some FBI agent wants to take 20 years off that and knock me off in a dark room, I don't know. I mean, what? Just placate? Just nothing's wrong here. Just to get another 20 years at the end of my life? And that's worst case scenario? Come for me. Knock me off. I don't give a shit. I've had a good run.
You're not worth
Right?
your time.
That's what I'm also hoping for. That's honestly what I'm mostly hoping
All
for.
right.
Is it's not worth it. Because I guarantee you, everyone's listening to this like, this guy sounds like a fucking psycho. Well, I think you sound like a fucking psycho thinking that Hillary Clinton was going to change the world, getting fucking $100,000 for Goldman Sachs, and she was going to make your life better. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm the fucking idiot. I'm the maniac. That's just maniac thought processing. I just don't know else how to describe it. Like, how can you not see? Like, they just think, like, no, they're just taking that money. They're, like, that's what they do. Like, some people go down so far down the rabbit hole. It's like, see, she's taking that money because you got to have money to win. That's the system. She takes that money. But when she gets in there, it's all about me. She's just everyone thinks every fucking politician that they believe in is some sort of, like, fucking Robin Hood. That fucking is like, they're taking the money now, but it's so they can give it back to me after they win. It's like, oh man, do these adults still think Santa Claus brings them fucking Christmas presents?
I mean, I know you're joking, but like we live in a superhero generation. Like we like our superheroes who have, like you said, modern day Robin Hoods who will do. That's like how we like to think of them. That
They don't
they
exist.
got to do bad thing. Sure, Batman kills a guy, but like it's to protect
Batman actually
all of
doesn't
us.
kill people.
Oh, that's his whole
That's
thing.
fucking thing. So I just
Excuse
I could hear the faint scream of a million nerds yelling at their fucking MP3 player.
I'm sure they're already yelling. All right, let's go on. Topic 3.
Why is that woman talking?
All right, so topic 3. Remember the Slender Man stabbings from a few years ago? Some teenagers.
Weren't they supposed to make a movie about that, or did it already come out?
They might have already come out. I don't know. It's
come out.
weird. Well, they sentenced the teenagers, and one of the teenagers got 40 years in a mental hospital for plotting to stab a. For those of you who don't know, she was like 15, and she got her buddy to. They concocted a plan to kill like a 13-year-old girl. Yeah, just another like younger classmate.
Did they pull it off? Or
in
no?
honor? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
In honor of Slender Man, who's that like weird internet lore that he like shows up in
He
photos
was
and
a
he's really tall.
yeah. He's creepy looking. He's a creepy
Super,
pasta.
super creepy.
You ever go down the creepy pasta?
What's his story though? Do you know? Like, was he?
I don't remember, but have you ever gone down the creepy pasta?
No.
That's kind of what they're called. Those like internet scary stories and stuff. That's where he came from.
Creepy pasta.
Yeah, I guess it came from like creepy posts, like people posting creepy stories, and then it became like creepy
Ooh,
pastas.
cool.
I think that's what it is.
And you
I
can,
feel
like,
like you from
People
earlier,
will like,
like
share photos where
feel
like,
like
they're like, there's Slender Man in the
yeah,
back.
I feel
it's sort
like
of a trick of the eye.
I feel like you from earlier. I was like, I think the kids. It's called like creepy pastas. I don't know. They do it on Instant Messenger.
It's extra.
It's when they're playing like the Rainbow
I'm
game
feeling
or
extra.
something.
Oh gosh, the Rainbow Game, that was like the fear in the
That was
like
that was like
late
literally
90s.
never real.
I know.
That's why I think it's always brought up as this hilarious thing that
Is
every
your Rainbow
adult.
Game what I'm Rainbow and
It's
Gaming
like where you get the
thinking?
bracelets for blowing guys and stuff.
Oh
right?
no, I was
No?
thinking of similar idea where there would be like a group of girls and they'd all wear a different lipstick and then they'd all suck the same cock.
Oh,
so
no,
then the
leave her.
cock
I
would be
had
like
heard that.
rainbowy.
But the thing that I heard that, and then I
And it's
heard,
like this stuff never happens.
and then I heard the two bracelet, the one bracelet thing. There's
yeah, I
two
do-
related bracelet things. The one was that you got a different color bracelet for every sex thing you did. So you were trying to collect the most bracelets of different
collect
colors.
them all.
But then I heard another version was that girls.
Pokemon.
It's not bad. I don't like how decent that was. And then the other one was that girls wore bracelets of every color, and if you were a boy, you tried to snap them. Like they were like these little rubber ones, so you tried to like sneak and snap them. And if you could snap, then whatever color you snapped, that girl had to like do that to you.
So dumb.
I don't think either one was ever true.
I
though.
know. It's like how Tide Pods weren't true. Like
Tide Pods wasn't true.
yeah, like for a while, then
Or
people
what's-
started doing it.
Or the other one that people always make fun of is like the knockout game. Do you remember the knockout game?
No.
Literally, they found two.
Like basketball?
No, they literally found two videos of kids like basically like sucker
Punching each
punching
other?
people.
Oh.
No, they would be like they'd like walk past someone and as they're walking by, just sucker punch him and like knock him out. They had like two videos of it, and then it was reported that this is called the knockout game and kids are playing it.
Do you know what it's like? It's like, oh my
Kids
god!
are playing the knockout
Listen, Justin,
game.
I just pieced it together. That's what the news used to report on, and now they'll do those stories where they're like, people are all over Twitter hashtagging rage about such and such, and then like it's like two randos like. Just did you guys see this? That's interesting.
I've told you that, dude. Every time I've gone to, I think did we talk about this on this podcast?
Yeah, we did, but like as the replacement
Yeah.
for those.
I know, but I'm
things.
just saying, like, yeah. Oh, it's fucking with like. yeah.
Anyway, so my question.
Twitter is ablaze, and then it's like 3 posts.
of like no, like me. Like if I just
Yeah.
were like, I'm feeling this way, which I think is weird. Like I just don't. I wonder how they teach it in journalism schools. This like, seriously,
in journalism
like
school.
the screen.
That's not happening.
Stop it. The screenshot of just like people's accounts and what they tweet is like that's like getting a quote from someone, you know. So like, is it if it's public, like you can just screenshot it and use it in a thing?
Dude,
Anyway,
no one gives a shit.
my question for topic 3: I give a shit, Justin.
It's just like everything else.
Just you're so
Trump's right. The
Ugh.
media stinks. They just don't stink in the way he says, because he's like, they stink, and I'm like, yeah, and he's like, because they lie about me, and I'm like, no, you're a bad person. It's
Okay, so speaking of fake news,
fake news.
my question is, was there a like folklore story that you like loved as a teenager?
Well, I just remember the one I thought of when you posted this was, so I just remember me and my cousins would always like kind of talk about like we tell scary stories. We just like talk about shit or whatever. When I'd be like, I'd like spend the night over their house a lot when I was like younger. And my 2 cousins, we just like hang out all night and just whatever. And I just remember that the one literally like no, it was one of those things like it's fucking fake, don't even, but no one would ever do it. And honestly, I don't think I could do it this day. It's just too much. And it was Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary! That's mine too.
Did you ever do it?
No, because it's fucking terrifying. You know why? Because you're
Is it?
standing in the dark, and like I feel like
Standing in the dark looking in a mirror is
anytime-
creepy already.
yeah, already. And like when you flash those lights on, you already kind of see stuff. So you're gonna like, I can already like I already can picture it, like the
Oh,
light messing with
should
my
we do
eyes
it
and seeing-
tonight?
No, absolutely not. I will not do it.
I know, I would die.
I won't do it.
I won't do it. I never, and we'd get so close. I remember standing in the dark bathroom, but not saying it, like getting that, like teasing the edge that much, and like, come on, just do it. I'm
I'm
gonna
like
do it.
getting goosebumps thinking
I'm
about
gonna
it.
do it. Well, if you think it's so, you do it then.
We should watch the movie
do
about
it.
it.
No,
Wasn't
you
there
do
like a
it.
Bloody Mary movie?
I don't know, probably. I never did it. I don't think I ever will.
No.
Maybe if I'm dying, I'll just do it once. Like if I'm like 89, I have cancer. I'm like, all right, I'll do Bloody Mary once just
Yeah,
to see.
it's so scary.
It's already. That's why it is. It's already a creepy thing, whether there's a fucking ghost or not. Let's fucking do it.
No,
Ugh.
I'm not doing it.
I'm gonna like run in the bathroom while you're in the shower and turn the lights off and do it, and then run out.
You know what would be worse is if you like didn't turn the lights on, like just like left. So then I'd have to turn it on, and like she'd be there the whole time.
Great prank. But because like I would just be scared because then she haunts you forever, right? And maybe you die and stuff.
I don't know. We have to watch the movie.
She like
There's
shows
a
up in the
documentary
mirror.
about it. No, I was kidding.
It's fucking crazy. So what was your thing?
Bloody Mary.
Yeah, that
was,
shit's
like,
crazy.
spooky. Although, and my other one, I remember a friend telling me a story about. I don't even remember what the story was, but it scared the shit out of me because it was like dark in my room and she was in my bed and she was telling me this scary story and then she started making this noise on the wall. It was like about a cat, like a dead cat coming to get you or something. I don't know. It was scarier than that. Okay, I wasn't just like lame. But she started scratching her nails on the wall and like I didn't know what that sound was and like it scared the shit out of me because like you know, just that auditory, like you're already tense and on edge, and then like something like that happens. But that's it. Bloody Mary, I could never do it. It always just scared
Did you ever
me
try?
so much.
Did you ever even just go?
Oh yeah, that was a big slumber party thing. But it was sort of
Did
the
anyone
same.
ever do it? No one ever did it?
It was the same thing you're saying, where it's just like there was enough. I don't know. It's like there was something instinctual of like, don't even do it because you're gonna scare yourself no matter what, because you will see something regardless, and then you'll get it in your head that she's haunting you. It just so good. All right, you guys.
Did you ever read those scary stories to tell in the dark books?
Love them. I know we've talked about this. Yeah.
On the podcast?
No, not on the podcast.
I know we've talked about with the crazy illustrations
by
Alvin Schwartz.
It's so terrifying. The spider one, like the spiders coming out.
I want to buy those real bad.
They're hard to find.
You can get it. Well, now they're not as hard because of the internet, but they can be a little pricey.
Do you know the other one I loved of scary stories was the neck one, where she he loved a girl and she had a ribbon and she would never take the ribbon off her neck and then she took it off and it was holding her head on. She was decapitated. So good. Man, those books were so fun when you were in like third grade.
Fun. I always thought the little songs were so fucking funny.
Spooky?
No, I just thought they were funny. That definitely like I always talk about like the weird things because like you know like when people like ask you like what formed your sense of humor? Who'd you like growing up? And it's like it's not a lie because it's definitely there's like a wide swath of like actual stand-ups like fucking Carlin and all the fucking standard answers, right? Bill Hicks, Doug Stanhope, at least for me. But then, you know, everyone will kind of go down that road. But, dude, like, there's always, like, these little things. Like, Weird Al's original songs inspired my humor a lot because they were super dark and weird and abstract and kind of violent sometimes. And then, like, the fucking scary story to tell in the dark, the little song. Do you remember the little songs?
Not really.
Because there'd be these breaks where they'd have like limerick-style lyrics, and I think sometimes like they'd say sung to the tune of this, or they'd have little notes or something. There were these like creepy little nursery rhymes, but they were so creepy, but also funny.
Because you were singing them too.
Yeah, so it definitely like developed a sense of humor
interesting.
for sure. Because like I love how gross and dark this is.
Yeah.
Like they're about death and dying and stuff. Here, let me see if I can Google one. Do we have a second? Do you want me to Google it, or do you not care?
Yeah, Google it.
I feel like it's on topic. Scary stories to tell in the dark. I don't know. What would they be called?
Did you read Did you watch that like the Nick? Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, I read that shit.
No, that wasn't.
Or watch that shit. Sorry.
That was another. We didn't have cable, and we would watch it at my friend's house, and it was always so scary, especially because like I was at someone else's house, so I didn't like know.
That hit me right when I was in my horror phase.
Yeah.
And what's weird is like I don't really like
horror
that much anymore,
so
but I liked
about it as a
but
kid.
I liked it forever, and then I don't love it as much. Yeah, the Her song I think was my favorite one.
Sing it for us.
I'm finding it. What is it?
I loved R.L. Stein books. That was those were my jam. Those were my horror jams. I like reading horror stories because I can like close the book if I get overwhelmed.
I love he's like, yeah, it's so interesting because like, all right, let me just read it. Like, I forget how like the tune went. All right. Don't you ever laugh? I'll just kind of like read it kind of bland because I don't remember like the how the what. Don't you ever laugh as the hearse goes by, for you may be the next one to die. They wrap you up in big white sheets and cover you up from head to feet. They put you in a big black box and cover you with dirt and rocks. All goes well for about a week until your coffin begins to leak. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms play pinochle on your snout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose, they eat the jelly between your toes. A big green worm with rolling eyes crawls in your stomach and out your side. Your stomach turns a slimy green and pus pours out like whipping cream. You'll spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you eat when you are dead. I mean, isn't that fucking funny? But also,
Yeah.
like, so fucking dark.
So dark.
And you're like a
I'm
10-year-old reading
surprised.
this, and
Yeah,
you're like, I'm going to be a
it's
weird
funny.
adult with a podcast saying insane things on topic two. But it's, I think it's, and like, I like this. I was just reading this. It says the history. It says, while there are reports of the song dating back to British soldiers in the Crimean War, it certainly dates to at least World War One when it was sung by American and British soldiers. And I don't know. It's just like, I was just thinking about this recently about, again, like humor and just like, again, like gallows humor. Like you hear that term a lot, like the idea that these men that work these, public executions make these jokes during it because they're doing this like
Yeah,
dark
they're
fucking
talking about
thing.
like doctors still
And
have it. Like
yeah, and you see it a lot on
Mhm.
like Law and Order, which I've been watching a ton of recently. And like the cops always make jokes at the crime scene, and it's just like, but
It offers some levity.
to me, it's like we have that. We know that that's real. We acknowledge that in society, and that it's healthy. But like my argument is like, sure, a soldier in World War One especially definitely has it way worse than the average working man. But life is a dark massacre of pain and fucking pain and fucking confusion and just these giant gaps in knowledge and understanding that will probably never be filled. And it's just this like hopefully 70-year jaunt through confusion and disarray and darkness and sadness, and then you fucking make an off-color joke, and people are like, "How dare you?" And it's like, "How dare you be so content to not laugh at the worst things in this fucking world? You're the fucking psycho that you can just internalize that shit. You're probably suffocating fucking puppies on the weekends. At least I'm out in public doing it. I feel like I'm less of a psycho, so I don't know."
All right. Well, you can check out more of this Psychos Rantings at JustinGolak.com. He's on Twitter at JustinGolak. Give him an reply, or we'll check him out so you can answer the Lone Star trivia from this week's episode. You can send him your dick pics to Justin at JustinGolak.com. You got any shows coming up or anything you want to plug?
Did you mention JustinGolak.com?
I sure did.
Yeah, I got some stuff coming up in March. Big show announcement coming soon, probably by next week, and then just some other shows related to that.
Cool.
So,
and I'm Jackie Manty. You can find me at JackieManty.com, on Twitter at Jackie_Manty, and email me them tip pics at Jackie@JackieManty.com. And as always, you can check out all of our stuff at lowclass.com, lo-class.com, and get all past episodes, including this one, at FemComPod.com.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Patreon.com/LOClass no dash.
Hi, Jim at the FBI. He's our listener. He's the guy that's assigned to
Jim.
you.
All right. I think that's it. Good sod.
Bye.
Bye.